All right, welcome back to Proving Proverbs. This is episode 6, and we will be diving into chapter 6 today. And after reading ahead, I can tell you that this chapter here defines the very nature of this video series, because in this chapter, there is many calls to action. There are definitely a lot of things that we can take away from this. So I hope that you come at it this week with a clear mind and an open mind and a pliable heart. Because I do think that if we can take the words of this and implement these into our life, we are bound to experience some blessings for sure. And so let's get into it. Chapter 6 of the book of Proverbs. My son, if you have gone surety for your neighbor, if you have guaranteed the bond of a stranger, if you have committed yourself with your own lips, if through words of yours you have been entrapped, do this, my son, to extricate yourself, since you have put yourself in the power of your neighbor. Go quickly and plead with your neighbor. Give your eyes no sleep, your eyelids no rest. Break free like a gazelle from the trap, like a bird from the snare. Title: The Idler and the Ant. Idler, go to the ant. Ponder her ways and grow wise. No one gives her her orders, no overseer, no master. Yet all through the summer she makes sure of her food and gathers her supplies at harvest time. How long do you intend to lie there, idler? Where are you going to rise from your sleep? A little drowsiness, a little folding of the arms to take life easier, and like a vagrant, poverty is at your elbow, and like a beggar, want. Portrait of a scoundrel. A scoundrel, a vicious man. He goes with a leer on his lips, winking his eye, shuffling his foot, beckoning with his finger. Deceit in his heart, always scheming evil. He sows dissension. Disaster will overtake him sharply for this. Suddenly, irreversibly, his fall will come. 7 things hateful to God. There are 6 things that Yahweh hates, 7 that his soul abhors: a haughty look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that weaves wicked plots, feet that hurry to do evil, a false witness who lies with every breath, a man who sows dissension among brothers. More fatherly advice. Keep your father's principle, my son. Do not spurn your mother's teaching. Bind them ever to your heart. Tie them around your neck. When you walk, these will guide you. When you lie down, watch over you. When you wake, talk to you. For this principle is a lamp. This teaching is a light. Correction and discipline are the way of life, preserving you from the woman subject to a husband, from the smooth tongue of the woman who is a stranger. Do not covet her beauty in your heart, or let her captivate you with the play of her eyes. A harlot can be bought for a hunk of bread, but the adulteress is aiming to catch a precious life. Can a man hug fire to his breast without setting his own clothes on fire? Can a man walk on red-hot coals without burning his feet? So it is the man who consorts with his neighbor's wife. No one who touches her will go unpunished. Men attach small blame to the thief, who in hunger steals to fill his own belly. Though once caught, he must pay back 7-fold, and has to hand over all his family resources. But the adulterer has no sense. Act like him and court your own destruction. All he gets is blows and insults and disgrace that will not be blotted out. For jealousy inflames the husband, who will show no mercy when the day comes for revenge. He will not consider any compensation. Lavish what gifts you may, he will not be placated. So, yeah, lot there in that one, huh? I mean, what jumps out at me is that in that chapter alone, there are numerous commandments, from the 10 commandments. So you can see how by keeping these commandments and these instructions, they only lead to our own blessings. And if we don't, by nature, will lead to curses. And so that's why we have the commandments as a guidepost to keep our path straight so that we don't veer off and end up living in all these curses. And as we look out into the world, you can see that that is the case for many, many people, unfortunately. But for us, we can remain grounded here in the words of these writings. And that's the importance of living this out in our life. And so let's get into the overview of chapter 6. It provides practical wisdom against self-destructive behaviors, focusing on financial prudence, diligence, integrity, and sexual purity. It warns against co-signing loans, laziness, using the ant as an example. And like we talked about last week, if we can only open up our eyes to see it, God has built in the very beautiful structure of the design of nature all of these lessons to be seen and to be learned from. If we can only open our eyes to see them and our heart to receive them, there is so much embedded in the very creation that we see all around us. Dishonesty and adultery, while listing 7 things abominable to God, including pride, lies, and causing discord. So, we talked about financial caution, advising against guaranteeing the debts of others, and that is the surety that was mentioned, if you weren't aware of what that word meant. If already trapped, one is urged to act with urgent to free themselves. And honestly, I think we can all relate to that today because we're all, I wouldn't say all of us, but a lot of people are trapped in debt today. And it keeps us in bondage to these systems that are around us. And we need to break free of those. And the first step towards that is by trying to eliminate that debt. Debt equals slavery. We need to try and eliminate it entirely from our lives. Diligence versus laziness uses the ant as an example of self-motivation and foresight, warning that laziness leads to poverty. And that's interesting, now that there's all this news out there about the corruption and the fraud that's taking place as, honest working folks get, this big swipe off the top of their paycheck over here into this, pot that gets divvied up out to these people who are lazy and do no work. And yet, look at, and they've reaped that for a long time, but now it's coming down hard on their head. And that's what happens when you go outside of these things. They thought they were living in blessings there for a while, didn't they? Riding around in their nice brand new Tahoes and Escalades and the $1 million mansions that they all lived in. No. Diligence versus laziness uses the ant as an example of self-motivation and foresight, warning that laziness leads to poverty. The wicked person describes the character of a troublemaker who uses perverse speech, signals, and wicked schemes to create discord. The 7 abominations list things God hates: proud eyes, lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart devises wicked plans, feet that rush to evil, a false witness, and one who sows discord among the brethren. Warning against adultery. It emphasizes that adultery is a destructive, foolish act that ruins a person's reputation and causes irreparable damage and leads to severe consequences. And hopefully none of you have experienced that, but there is nothing but heartache in those things. And so we should try and steer as far clear from those as we can, because those are the path to destruction. We want to be on the path to peace and light. The chapter serves as a guide to avoid folly, protects one's reputation, and maintain a life of integrity before God and in society. And so, like I said, there's a lot of things there that apply today in life, just as they did thousands of years ago when these words were written. And the rules of the game have not changed. They are still the same. And so by living by these words, we can stay on the path of truth. And that path will keep us grounded and centered and heading in the right direction. But if we veer off and we end up in this other place, heading down the wrong street towards these other things, well, they only lead to bondage and destruction. And so we definitely do not want to veer off this path. We must stay on this path. And so that's part of the purpose of this video series, is to read the words of this book on a weekly basis at the very least, and to try and absorb them, display them, and then reap the blessings. That's what it's all about. And in so doing, we will be proving Proverbs in our own life. And so there's a lot here. Hopefully you've taken the bits from it that apply in your life this week. There's a lot there for sure. And we can use these things, as always, as a compass to stay with our eyes focused on true north. And that's what it's all about. And we have to have that because we're surrounded by distraction. And it's very easy to veer off that path. And so hopefully by doing this every week, it's keeping you grounded and it's keeping you on the straight and narrow path. After all, that is the name of the game here with Proving Proverbs. And so as we conclude this week, I look forward to seeing you again next week as we dive into chapter 7. Until then, I ask that if this episode has touched you, please like it. If you think that anybody in your circles could benefit from it, please share it. As always, I'd really appreciate your comments on it and your thoughts on it, and I will always do my best to reply to all of them. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe as we continue on this march through the book of Proverbs, anchoring our spirit to these good words that are found in this book. And so until next week, this is Proving Proverbs. I am Brad Casper. We're out.